So a while back, Hello Dope Toys on their live stream did a pretty awesome deal.
I have a that morph that's sitting next to it. It's like blended in perfectly.
So it's seven
One,
figures?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, seven. Seven
It's 146.
Build-A-Figure pieces and then Kingpin.
I'd still do the whole thing for 100 right now. If somebody wants that whole wave for 100 right now, that's 7 figures for $100. Figures that retail at $25 a piece. So you're essentially saving $75 off of retail. Ship that shit out tomorrow. Holler at your boys. Shoot us a message. You're not going to find that on the site.
Maybe it'll ship out tomorrow.
Maybe.
It's a possibility that it might.
I'm just saying, guys, you're looking for a deal right now. You want some Ollie's Ross prices. That's about as good as we can do right now. $100, 7 figures. What's the Build-A-Figure? What's it fucking called?
The Hydra Stomper?
Hydra Stomper. Hydra Stomper Build-A-Figure. $100, 7 figures. Right now. Message us on Instagram.
So then I decided, why don't I take them up on this? Now, keep in mind, I have not bought a full wave of Marvel Legends since Puff Adder. And before that, it had been a long, long time. I did end up buying the full wave of Age of Apocalypse because I wanted that Colossus. But really, all of that was on clearance anyway, so I didn't really pay that much. This is also on clearance. And what I really wanted was a Hydra Stomper. So then I have all these other figures. So how do they measure up? Well, this is a Disney Plus wave. This is all about TV shows. And what I didn't realize until I got them in hand was that there are 2 from each TV show. Except for Agatha is just the one. She's kind of standing on her own. So I decided, let's take a look at these and see what we got. So this is going to be a series. I'll wrap it up with the Hydra Stomper. I'll run it weekly, and the last week will be Hydra Stomper. Just something fun and different to do. So come with me. Let's take a look at the Hella Dope Disney Plus deal. Hydra Stomper, because he stomps hydras. Boy. Anyway, today I'm taking a look at the one, the only, the Hydra Stomper. The Build-A-Figure from the Disney Plus wave from the What If series. Okay, as I've said already, this season of What If was not my favorite. I gotta say, the episode this guy appears in is one of my least favorites. And that's the thing. I love Peggy Carter. I love Captain Carter. But this was a letdown. Now Steve is the Winter Soldier. It's like, come on. Come on. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. So one of the big things is, you can swap the head and have unmasked Steve. And boy, I know that Steve is a pipsqueak, but that head just looks terrible. I mean, on any level, it just looks terrible. So this was the reason I bought the wave, because I did want this. Mainly because I wanted to compare him to the other Hydra Stomper, the big bad one. Now, I think I've told this story a couple of times. I'm going to tell it again because I love this story, and it was good for me. I was on a trip, stopped in a store, looked around, Looked up, saw the Hydra Stomper. $25. I do not know if the store mismarked him. I do not know if there was something else going on, but I picked him up. They charged me $25. I walked out. Keeping in mind at the time he was a $50 figure. And he's huge. I mean, that's the part about it. He's huge. And he's a lot bigger than this Hydra Stomper. But now when I first saw this Hydra Stomper, one thing I said was, I thought he looked cheap. And some asshat, I'm sorry, gentleman on Facebook, proceeded to tell me about how technology shrinks as it gets older and a bunch of stupid shit that had virtually nothing to do with what I was talking about. Now, I'm going to try to look at these and try to explain what I'm talking about because it's a little hard to explain. First and foremost, there's a lot less detail. Now, I could see an argument for somebody trying to say they make it look sleek and more futuristic. Well, yeah, but it also means you don't have as much to do. Now, one thing about it, the articulation points are the same, so there's nothing to change there. But then I realized there's no blast effects for the jets on the second Hydra Stomper like there is in the first. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that's weird. Yeah, that's definitely weird. But if you look at the original Hydra Stomper, yeah, there's a ton more detail going on here. And yeah, it's supposed to be original Ironmonger, but yeah, it's more than that. You know, the other thing is the original Ironmonger, the original Hydra Stomper had a gun on his wrist. There's no kind of weaponry here, so yeah. Oh, but he's got repulsors. Yeah, well, War Machine, shut up. I mean, you can kind of go back and forth on this. You get what I'm saying? But you know, I do think the original Hydra Stomper was purposefully done to have detail, much more detail. The original Hydra Stomper did have a separate belt piece for the midsection, for it. And yeah, I think that was for Piggy to climb up or something. I don't know. But anyway, it you know, and there was a ladder. Yeah, there was a ladder all the way down, all the way up the Hydra Stomper's body, which was intended to climb up and climb in. Yeah, they don't do that for the second one. But, you know, I mean, it was like a good detail that, like, was kind of cool. I mean, he gave it some life. Whereas with, you know, this Hydra Stomper, it's just like, hi, my name is Iron Man. And, yeah, Hydra Stomper. How you doing? And it's not quite as appealing. That's not to say it's terrible. I mean, ultimately, I do like it. I mean, that is true. I do like it, but I don't like it near as much as the original Hydra Stomper. The original Hydra Stomper is just so awesome and such a nice figure. This one is a nice figure, but it's not nearly as good. And I mean, it almost looks like it's half the size. I mean, which yeah, it may trim down, but you know, it's like it doesn't look good. It doesn't look as good. You know, there's a lot more sleekness to it, which may be purposeful. But again, without all the detail of the original Hydra Stomper, it loses something. And, you know, I think that's the problem with this figure. I mean, it's not a bad figure, but the version 1 is so much better. And it has a, you know, high bar to live up to. And it doesn't. It can't, because it's just not possible. I think the head is also a little too small, because when I compare it to a Marvel Legend, and I realize Steve Rogers' head is supposed to be small, but when I compare it to a Marvel Legend, it looks like nobody's head could fit in that. So that's another weird part. I mean, it's supposed to be in this thing. I know it's Steve Rogers. I know he's a pipsqueak, but come on, dude. That's tight squeeze. That's what I'm getting at. Now, does that mean this figure is totally unredeemable? No. No, he's my second favorite figure of the entire wave. Gamora being the first. But you know, it's definitely done cheaper and looks cheaper and doesn't have that awe-inspiring feel of the original Hydra Stomper. And if I were to have an issue with it, yeah, that's it. I mean, the Hydra Stomper just looked like a beast. And this looks like mini beast. And it's not good. Not good at all. That's not to say it's not redeemable. And that's not to say that, I'm sad about having it. I actually like that I have it. I did expect it to be a bit bigger. But, and that's what Steve said. But, it's not a terrible figure in the slightest. It's, I mean, I don't know, I think the Hydra Stomper should be much bigger than Spider-Man, Yeah, he is a little taller than Spider-Man, but you get my meaning. Okay, so that is it. That is this Disney Plus wave. It is finally over. Hope you've endured with me. All 8 of the figures, including the Build-A-Figure. Thank you, Hella Dope Toys, for one hella of a deal. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a good one. Thank you for watching.